Afternoon, everybody. Welcome. Another Thursday, 12:30. It's got to be Talking Trade Live with On the Tools. If you can't read, my name's Andy, going to be the host for the next half hour or so. And joining me are two, I say, old stagers now on this show. Richie, of course, is known as the Blonde Brickie up in Scotland, and Trev, who is I suppose one of the older decorators, Trev, because you were part of Dulux Academy that launched 25 years ago, and I saw the video, mate, and you looked a lot younger.
Thanks, mate. Yeah, cheers.
You're welcome. Straight into it. Right, the sun's shining, and this week's topic is, well, we're looking at a skills gap. Have we got a skills gap in construction? Is there an issue with people coming in? Are they skilled enough, or are they not skilled? So please send comments in. I've just clicked on that, so I should be seeing them. Have we got a skills gap? Is there a problem with this? Richie, welcome, mate. Great to have you on. I personally think, skills-wise, COVID has done us a big favour, because a lot of people sat at home, furloughed, working from home, lost their job, thought, you know what, I want to do something else. And according to a lot of colleges, numbers are going through the roof. Do you think COVID's done us a favour? We're going to get a lot more people into construction?
Absolutely. I think, the time sat in the house doing nothing, sitting watching YouTube videos, watching Instagram, has just give guys a kind of boost. They're going to kick up the arse and saying that, this is the route I want to go down, and having the time off, they'll be able to research it, being able to go online and have a look and say it's not as hard as they thought about it in their head. It's quite easy just to send an email to a college provider or a company and ask what way do I go about this.
Trev, we lost a lot of workers down the south here. Obviously with Brexit, a lot of EU workers have gone back, which did take up quite a large percentage, certainly in London. Do you think we've got a skills gap, or do you think actually there's a few more people coming on board to join this great industry?
I think there are. I think it's getting the right quality in it. I think people are joining, but we need to get the skill level up. Get the right people joining. That's the important thing. I think. I think it's quality rather than quantity.
I think that's a good point. We go back to apprenticeships, don't we? I was talking to a guy the other day. So he's 63, been in the industry since 76. So you can work that out, a long time. He runs a training college in Croydon, teaching brickwork and carpentry. He said he's still really annoyed at the apprenticeship that plasterers, bricklayers are learning in the classroom. Richie, let me just go back through this. It'd be interesting to tell the viewers, did you learn through an apprenticeship, and did you actually have much hands-on with your training, or were you sat in a classroom looking at screens?
No, when I done it, it was all hands-on. Bricks and trowel in your hand, bricks in your hand. I think we won one day in the classroom just going over kind of technical stuff, but the majority of the time, it was in the workshop, building walls.
I do like that, mate. When you say the word technical, bricklayers, it's sand, cement, a bit of feb, a trowel, a level, and a bit of string. What was the technical bit of bricklaying, Richie?
Yeah, just reading drawings, establishing your bonds, just, typical bricklaying stuff, pretty much that, reading drawings, just, how to kind of understand, it's not just showing up with trowel in your hand, your brick in your hand. It's more learning your levels, your gauges, your measurements and stuff like that.
Well, as everyone is well aware, my views are that is best learned on a site or on a job. But obviously, apprenticeships are still got quite a lot of classroom based. Into the comments quickly. Gareth Morgan, steel fixer. He said, I can definitely say there's not enough real steel fixers around anymore. There's a lot who claim to be, but don't have the skill set to actually do the job properly. Yet they still expect top money. It's getting worse too. See, that's a skill you can't just walk in and do. And I think this is the problem. back to what we said before, Trev, we're not licensed apart from Sparks and gas safe engineers. So anyone can rock up tomorrow, as he said. I'm a steel fixer. So do you think as well we need to look at licensing to make sure we've got, as you said, quality coming in?
I'm exactly the same as you, Andy. I think there should be. If you're a tradesman, you should be licensed. You shouldn't just be able to wander in and pick up, hammer, a bloody, chop saw and start. You should actually be able to prove who you are and what you've done. And, and it also gives the homeowner a lot more security, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Totally. A good tradesman wouldn't mind being licensed. It's only the cowboys that would start flipping cringing and worrying, but a decent tradesman would have no problem with it at all.
Well, I was involved in a paper that went to government a few years ago about licensing tradespeople, and the big thing that I had an issue with, if you take me, 45-year-old trade, or take a 62-year-old bricklayer that went straight onto the tools at the age 14, 15, we can't sit exams. So how are you going to license an existing old school trade that really isn't great at exams like me? But would they test you on site? Richie, how would you do it if you were PM to get licensing in? Do you agree with it? And how would you do it, mate?
I think it's hard, because there's so much regulations and things like that for going and even just because 90% of my work is on site. They do the adjudications and things like that. Before you can go on site, you have to let them know that you have this qualification or you have that qualification. So, they've got a peace of mind that they can let you go and do the job that you're there to do. But I can see how in domestic, going into people's houses, doing things and that, the client's not going to really have that access to that information about. They can only go in face value.
Yeah, that's the problem. It's face value, and that's what can give us a bad name. Hello, Katie, lovely lady, bloody good bricklayer. Thanks for your comment. She says her trade and Richie's trade are like gold dust at the moment, and they are. That's the problem. Brickies are in serious hot demand, and well, I say congratulations to the ones that are working, because you can be charging what you like at the moment. 125 a metre to Repoint in central London. Get a Labrador in on 70 quid a day to rake it out, and you are laughing. Chris Rammer Ramsden, let us know why you're called Rammer. If I can read it out on an afternoon chat, I will. Thanks for your message. I did apprenticeship bricklaying. Most of it is all hands-on, more on site than you did in college. Good lad. And listen, I got told yesterday, I don't know if you're all aware of this, but the apprenticeship now was brought in when we joined the EU. We're now not in the EU. So does that mean we can go back to city and guilds, which most of us old people think it was far, far better? So watch this space, because things might be changing. Barry Adamson's in a whole world of trouble. The biryani he had for lunch is blowing his head off. I don't know what trade he is, but that might even assist him. Who knows? Liam Kent, I love these comments. His granddad, listen, they're the best people to learn off. He taught me you can never learn from a page, learn with your hands and common sense. If I was in charge of apprenticeships, I'd have that all day long, trust me. Few more comments. Nick Jones, this is a good one. Looking for a big career change from finance to a trade. Good lad, come and join us all in construction, mate. I promise you, you will not regret it. Looking for apprenticeships to see what's out there. He's got a mortgage and bills, just wondered how apprenticeship cope with the apprentice wage. He's tempted to do a course with access training, but he's seen mixed reviews. I want to give Nick a hand. So Trev, he hasn't got an age, but looking at his photo, probably late 20s, early 30s, in finance, looking to join us. Let us know what trade you want to do, Nick. But Trev, what advice would you give him?
Well, it's quite difficult. I mean, I started on my own decorating firm by a lot. I think a way a lot of people start their own business is by doing sort of like weekends and then long weekends. And then I thought, well, you take the plunge. But going the other way, I don't quite know how you do it. Whether you sort of saved up enough money so you've got sort of 6 months to, so you can live for 6 months or maybe even 12 months to get that behind you and then make the step. Because it's very hard to try and learn a new trade and, and then you've got to finance yourself as well. So maybe it takes a little bit more thinking about, you know, to plan ahead a bit. That'd be my.
Nick, I think that's gold dust, that advice. Listen, you've made it very clear. You've got mortgage, bills, etc. So you're not going to survive on apprenticeship wages of £3, whatever it is, an hour. You won't even buy a pint at the end of the day. The thing I would say is do what Trev said. Try and get a bit of sort of evening work in the summer, weekends, any holidays you've got. In order to get better wages, speak to some local firms and go on as a labourer, which I think is a great way of, you're going to still be earning, depending where you work, 70, 80, 90 quid a day. And then it gives you a good chance to see what trade you want to get into. So hopefully that helps. But great to see you joining construction, mate. We were talking before we came on air, the difference between construction workers and trades compared with office folk. You will have a ball, trust me. Right, looking a few other comments. Richie, I just going through these, just going to ask you, how's Scotland in terms of skills gap? Because I think down here we were effective and a lot of the EU workers went back. I mean, London, South East. How are you finding it now? Is there just too much work and not enough trades up there?
Yes, but I would say so. Like I say, 90% of my work is on site, and I'm glad the companies, the main contractors, are rescheduling their programs to kind of suit the environment that we're in the moment. No, they've not got enough trades to do what is required in the required time. They have to kind of make the job a little bit longer because they're not going to have enough bodies on site. So I'm glad that the main contractors are doing that, but at the same time, there is so much work going on. There's sites and building sites on every street. You pass about 5 or 6 building sites on the way to your work every morning. It's minute at the moment.
Well, I mean, it's not just housing. It's obviously commercial. There's some railway thing going on, HS2 or whatever it's called. The work involved in construction coming up across all sectors is going to be astronomical. And Mr. Government needs to wake up to this. Dylan Tongue has made a really good comment, and this is true, that's preventing a lot of people coming across into construction perhaps later on in life. The trouble is there's adults who would be willing to gain the qualifications, and I think there are a lot that want to come across, but don't have the means. So most traders won't take on apprentices, meaning adults have got to pay their own way through college and find someone to help them build a portfolio whilst working a second job to pay the bills. Again, we need to look back at apprenticeship wage and getting more into the industry. Trev, do you think we need to go back to something like City and Guilds now we're out of the EU? Love it or loathe it, that's the reality. Can we get apprenticeship sorted now?
And I think, like you say, the youngsters, but the young people are pretty much well catered for, aren't they, by the government? But it is, if you reach sort of mid-20s, 30s, and you decide that what you're doing is you don't want to do, you've got no help, you've got no assistance, and if you've got a family, you're pretty much screwed. You can't, what do you do? You really can't. You've got monthly commitments. The government should be helping those sort of people, and in return, it'd help the construction industry as well. It'd be a win-win situation.
Well, Paul Ainsley has said a comment I'm going to read out. I kind of agree with it and I kind of don't. He said construction industry is in a downward spiral, largely due to the modern project managers. Listen, we all know those. 18, snappy suit from Burton, shiny shoes, straight onto a site. I haven't got a clue what they're doing and wind up all the trades. As he says, only know how to read a spreadsheet and have no real experience. Hence, the trades are no longer given a hoot to standards. Now, I agree with the bit about the young project managers. To me, a project manager needs to have been on the tools, because there's no way you're telling me a young project manager is going to have any more clue than Richie, who's been running the line for however many years in different conditions, different bricks, different, stonework, all of that. Richie, do we need to get project managers on the tools a bit more so they actually know what they're doing?
100%, 100%. Trying to have a conversation with someone who has no idea, the environment or the, how he can't, what he's learned on paper, what he's learned in front of a screen. Trying to have a conversation with one of these people is unreal. You're trying to talk to them and they're just oblivious to it. They're oblivious to it. All they're interested in is their program, is the schedule? Is it not done yet? Is it, it's so much of a struggle. But guys who are on the trade, even if it's not in the trade that you're in, having a conversation with them, they just know the construction environment. They know, when you ask them a question, when you talk to them, that they understand what you mean, and you're not just talking to a brick wall.
Well, it astounds me that somebody with no experience or classroom-based experience can go onto a site or a residential extension or refurb as, inverted commas, project manager. I mean, I personally don't think architects should be project managers. And I know that's probably going to wind a few people up. The best project managers, in my experience, are people that have been on the tools, because you know the ifs, the whens, the hows, the whats. You drop a ceiling, there's all sorts of crap up there. You've got rot in the floor. You've got, a wall that's on the piss. People on the tools, we have to do this with our hands and overcome it. So that's my two penneth. Anyone in architecture, please get in touch. But that's what I think. Nick Jones, thank you to you both for the advice. So, Nick, if you want to drop me a message on Instagram, I'm more than happy to try and help you in any way I can. That's my Instagram there, at Andy Stevens TV, because it's great to hear you coming into the industry. Now, Trev, let's look at everything going on is great. We've got more people coming in, but we're not sure about the quality. Would you completely and utterly tear apprenticeships up and start again with a lot more focused on the old ways of learning on site? Or do you think we still, with the modern health and safety and all this, do we still need to have an element of classroom stuff?
Yeah, I think you do need an element of classroom stuff, but I think when you're doing an apprenticeship and you're going to college, you learn the way to do things. But then once you're actually out on site and you're let loose and you're sort of set free, so to speak, that's when you learn the proper job and how to make proper money. So you do need the sort of theory and the classroom stuff, but then when you're out on site, that's when you really start learning. I think you get the basics in college, and then you get the real education on the site.
Well, this is brilliant. We've got a comment from Ross Kales on the back of the lad from finance coming over. Nick, I think he was. Ross is currently doing his gas course with Access Training. You can do it on weekends. He's saying to Nick, stay in finance. You can pay for the course. Once you get a qualification, you can look for a job to perfect your trade. Brilliant advice, Ross. And I wish you all the best, mate. Great to hear that you're doing that at the weekends. As I say, once you come in, you won't regret it. It's a brilliant industry.
And sometimes, Andy, it's worth taking a sort of a backward step to then go forwards. Sometimes you just have to take a deep breath, tighten your belt for a few months, 6 months, and then just, grin and bear it and just get through it. Sometimes it's well worth doing that.
Andy Walls, Richie, want to hear your thoughts on this comment. He's been in the trade since 1987, hod carrier, then bricklayer. So proper old school trade. Love it. There's currently loads of government funding available. Feel free to contact me should you wish to gain a recognised qualification with an on-site assessment and gain your skilled worker CSCS card. Andy Walls. Great news that the government are putting this money forward for youngsters, but I've got to say, I wouldn't have a clue where to start. Would you?
Yeah, no, not really. Not now, anyway. Yeah, just after. I was lucky, my whole family was bricklayers, so it was inevitable that I was going to become a bricklayer. But prior to that, I wouldn't have known how to get an apprenticeship and things like that if I wasn't taking on with my dad and things like that when I started. I wouldn't have known what way to go. But it's great now that they're showing they're using the initiative to get these young guys into the trade and things like that. You've got guys who come to high schools, and usually it was the police that used to come to the high school and give you try to get you inducted to them, but now it's guys from colleges saying, there's ways that you can get into the trades this way, which is great, instead of just you finish you do your 6 years at high school and then you're, what do I do now? What do I do next?
Trev, I'm going to put something to you, mate. I had a very good conversation with someone in the industry the other day, and they made a really good point. So we've got this alleged money coming into apprenticeships for construction. There's this Kickstart program, which I've heard about, but I haven't seen a lot more. You look at the military. There's a lot of very, very good TV ads running, or it ran in the past, saying, you know, my name's Dave. I was born in, you know, Scunthorpe, but I was raised in Iraq. This is the opportunities you can have joining the military from this to this, and that makes you want to join. Do you think we need to do something similar for construction, bearing in mind we're 10% of GDP?
Yeah, I think we do need to sort of concentrate on, definitely attracting, because it's not all the people in, once you're in construction, you get bitten by the bug and you love it. But for school kids, it's not the most attractive sort of prospect, is it? You know, trudging around on a building site and that. But once you get in the trade and you've got a trade for life. You've always got something to fall back on, and the banter and the spirit on a building site, there's nothing like it. You know, everybody pretty much looks out for everybody else. If you get a good bunch of blokes working together, there's nothing better. But people need to know that, and you know, it needs to be shouted about, really.
I reckon we should go after government, saying you need to do a campaign. You've got all this work coming up with HS2, all the new homes being built. The targets for new homes are astronomical. We've lost a lot of workers back to the EU. So I think we need a TV campaign fronted by Richie and Trev. Look, I was raised in Scotland. Now I'm a bricklayer in wherever, and I think it'd be great. So, let's get in touch with old Boris and get a campaign going. Now, there must be something about the name Andy, because Andy Walls agrees work-based learning is the best way, Andy. Colleges aren't the way forward. You learn more in the workplace. Good God, you really are spot on, I must admit. Learning on the tools, that's how I learned. I didn't do an apprenticeship or go to college or university. I'd let you into a secret, everyone. I did apply to 8 universities. I did get 8 letters back with exactly the same reply, but I can't repeat that on 12:52 during the day, because it was basically piss off to go. But worth to go anyway. Now, Richie, I just want to ask what Trev brought up there. It's a bug, isn't it? Once you get into construction, you can't leave it. It's a bloody good job to do, isn't it?
I've all my life. Honestly, I can remember back weekends, summer holidays, going out with my dad, my granddad on building sites and all the projects they had. And I got the bug for it. Kind of lost it, you know, during high school and things like that, trying to, you know, kind of figure out what I was wanting to do, figure out what I was wanting to do and things like that, my own personality. I kind of wanted to be an architect. I wanted to go that way. But then I learned I was going to have to be in school.
So Richie's turned himself into a spinning circle, which is a wonderful magic trick, but unfortunately it's not helping with the broadcast. So Trev, while Richie reforms as a human, back to your comment, mate, about once you're in, it's almost an addiction, isn't it? You look forward to getting up and going to work and having a laugh with your mates.
Yeah, exactly. Like I say, if you get a good bunch of blokes that work together, you know, you get the chippies, the sparkies, and you're just like a family. You know, there's a real spirit of sort of camaraderie, and you know, and I think a good bunch of blokes make a job run so much more. You know, so you can forget about project managers with a decent run bunch of blokes. You don't need a project manager. You just get on with it.
Listen, I totally agree, and my view is exactly that. On smaller jobs, so your residential stuff, if you've got a good team that worked together for years, you don't really need anyone running it. You know, your ground workers come in, dig out, get all your footings in, bricklayers come in, and it just takes care of itself. But I can fully understand on big sites you need project managers, but I think
they need to have done the job. That's the most important thing. Like you said, they need to have done the job.
I think that would be a good topic. What is classed as a good project manager? Because that I'd like to get a few project managers on there on here and have a chat with trades. Because listen, I'm with you, Trev. If you've been on the tools, you know a job a lot better than if you haven't. That is my view. Ed C has made a very valid point about youngsters. Problem is, he's experiencing the younger generation, 18 to 25 years of age, fresh out of college, don't want to start at the bottom and learn. They're too privileged. That is a little bit of an issue we've got, isn't it, with this this fluffy generation coming through?
They don't want to start them, but you know, you've just got to, as I said earlier, you just got to make it clear that you know, the more effort you put in, and the more you can actually contribute, the quicker you're going to stop making tea. Basically, it's it's in your hands.
Totally,
really.
And it's a great comment from Mark Cormack, which is kind of backing up what we're saying. Oh, sorry, he's gone up. Oh, there we go, back up. I'm a joiner to trade and worked his way up through the ranks in management. Firmly agree that site managers and contracts managers should be trades-based. You've far better understanding of the trials and tribulations of working in all weathers, how it should be done and not. My book, the good old textbook says it should be done this way. Site-based learning is by far the best way to gain experience. I think we're all in agreement on this, Trev. Do you think the big companies, the big developers and house builders need to look at this? Because site managers in a snappy suit and shiny shoes and a bit wet behind the ears, it's not the way forward, is it?
And also, it's not. And also, if they've actually been on the ground and had a hammer in their hand, they're going to get far more respect from the trades. You know, it's just going to make the job run smoother. But I think nowadays, everything is so, the way they throw up houses nowadays, everything is down to speed, isn't it? And that's, they haven't got the time to put project managers, for say 12 months on a building site. Perhaps they haven't got the time to do it. And that's where it's falling down.
It's back to quality. One thing that really gets up my nose is when you see in the papers or on TV, oh, look at the state of this house. Look at this. The builders are crap. Listen, you want to look at that properly. You don't know that situation on that site. You might have a nightmare project manager that is forcing them to work at breakneck speed so they haven't got time to use quality, or they're paying peanuts and getting monkeys. Don't always blame trades, because we often take the brunt of all the grief. But I tell you what, it's often the trades that are helping people rather than pulling people back, I've found.
You're right.
Right. What are we doing? Oh, hang on. Here he is. He's back. So congratulations, Richie. You have morphed back into a human from a spinning white circle. So welcome back. We can certainly see you a lot clearer. Just going through that, we've looked at all the comments, Richie. Everyone's in agreement that project management should start off being on the tools. What we want to know, and you might better help with this, being site-based, why aren't big house builders and developers employing people as site managers that have been on tools, that know what they're talking about, rather than these fluffy youngsters which wouldn't know which end of a handrail to hold?
I think because a lot of it's not just on site that they're looking after the trades. There's a lot of like paperwork, like office stuff to do as well. Emails, everything has to get emailed now. You don't get away with anything. Everything has to get documented via email. So I think they like, rather than, kind of training them up to be more, office savvy rather than, site savvy, if you know what I mean.
I think Scott Nesbitt has just asked a really good question, and this is my issue. There's not enough awareness of joining this industry through an apprenticeship or whatever. And Scott has asked, do we know of any apprenticeships or schemes or anything else, a 25-year-old to start becoming a qualified spark? Inquired trade schools, it's 7,000 quid plus with study and weeks away for practical exams. He's gone through 5 years of university, have an interesting, well-paid job as an engineering consultant in electrics, but he feels building sites and manual working is more for him. Totally agree with being more on the tools to take experience over academia all day. Now, do we think, this is back to, my advice, first of all, look at CITB. They're meant to be the governing body, Construction Industry Training Board, Scott. Have a look on their website, contact local colleges. But Richie, we've got to do more as an industry to raise awareness to get people in, because he's asked an honest question. I don't think any of us can really answer that properly.
Yeah, it goes back to like what you were saying about we need to market it better. We need to have a campaign just as big as, join the RAF, join the army and things like that, because, the construction industry is not going anywhere. It's going to continue to get bigger and to boom, really. But we need to market it better. We need to get a team involved and market it. So it is appealing it's just as appealing as going to the RAF, going to the army, as to enter the construction trade.
Well, we've lost a highly skilled joiner from the industry. I like to read the good and the bad out. Robin Mulholland Helm. He's a time-served joiner, worked in the trade in manufacturing, bench hand joiner for 10 years. So proper craftsman, not a tradesman, craftsman. However, after being made redundant twice, he can't afford to be in the trade anymore due to the risk of not having job security for his family. He works in a hardware shop now as manager. It serves him well, because obviously he's got knowledge of the trade and also job security. Robin, it's sad to hear that you've unfortunately left the industry. It'd be interesting to see where you're based, because I think the way things are going, mate, keep an eye out if you want to come back, because there's an awful lot of work going on at the moment, and every decent building company or trade I speak to are flat out. Trev, on that note, you've had a record number of inquiries this year already, haven't you?
Yeah, it's gone mad. I don't know why, but yeah, we were saying just before the show, I've had about 33 inquiries since the beginning of the year, which is crazy. But shouldn't moan about it. Keep me smiling.
Well, sorry, this is I think summing it up. James Toad Dickerson. Not enough of companies are taking on apprenticeships. Right, you heard it here first, folks. I'm going to get on to the people I know in government. CITB. I think we need to kickstart this industry with a proper apprenticeship scheme. Something similar to City and Guilds. Let's get rid of this crap at the moment, because quite frankly, no one understands it. We've got all these men and women trying to join construction, asking us how to. We don't even know the answer. So what chance has everyone else got? So I'm going to get on with that. And as people know what I'm like, once I've got a bone in my mouth, I ain't letting go. So Boris, watch out, son. I'm coming. Just to finish off on a positive note, there's a brand new project, charity build, starting 19th of April, called Build It, Lighthouse Club, which, as you know, is a construction industry charity. I've bought a small place that I'm doing up. I want all trades on board. It's called Perfect 10 because all trades, I'm asking to give 10% of their wages to the Lighthouse. All suppliers are giving 10% of material cost to the Lighthouse, and I'll also be donating 10% of profits. Hopefully, so when it's all done, we can raise a minimum of 10 grand for the Lighthouse Club, which is the construction industry charity, mental, financial and physical health. So look it up if you do need any help with those. But listen, get in touch through my Instagram at Andy Stevens TV, because I am desperate for more trades. We're going to get a lot of coverage on the tools. They're going to cover it. We've got some national press coming on board. Trev is joining. He's going to be decorating it. Can't wait to have him on. And he makes a damn good cup of tea. Richie, don't you use that excuse you're too far away, mate. You can come and crash at mine. I'd love to see you down here. And I'll tell you what, let me make a promise. If you come down, even for a day, I'll jump on the crowd with you and we'll run the line together. Now, that'll be an experience. Well, listen, we've run out of time. We've gone over the half an hour. Listen, I really hope everyone's enjoyed this week's show. Please get in touch through at Andy Stevens TV if you want to join the charity build. It's going to be a lot of fun. Come along even as an apprentice. You learn the ropes with some great men and women, and we can have an awful lot of fun. Good luck for the rest of the week, everybody. We're all flat out with work, because at the end of the day, don't forget, we work in the best industry. Have a great week.